Thank you for having us out today. I'm Peyton Burns.
I'm Paige Goodson.
I'm Trey Sullivan.
I'm Jackson Perry.
And I'm Nihal Malsetti. So first off, we're going to talk about the issue that Gillette has been facing recently. So the main issue that Gillette has faced is that in the past 5 years, their average sales in the US have declined by 7.1% each year. On the other hand, other firms such as Harry's have been very successful in recent years. In the past 2 years, Harry's has grown by 191%. In general though, the shaving razor manufacturing industry has struggled due to increased competition and changing consumer trends. They face increased competition due to the entrance of e-commerce shaving firms such as Harry's and Dollar Shave Club. And there's also been decreased input prices, which has allowed firms to create razors for much cheaper. There's also been changes in consumer trends due to the growing popularity of facial hair, especially in younger individuals, as well as relaxed workplace standards where men don't necessarily have to shave before going into work. Because of all these issues, Gillette's sales have declined recently, so we're trying to come up with a solution to counter this decline. So before tackling this issue, we wanted to look at how Gillette stands currently. So we did a SWOT analysis. So first off, we looked at the strengths. Gillette's razors Gillette's razors are far superior in technology and innovation compared to their competitors. Gillette also boasts superior brand loyalty to their competitors. Most individuals that shave with Gillette will shave with Gillette for their entire lives. As far as weaknesses go, because they have such an elite and premium product, their products are usually more expensive than their competitors. Also, their products are very gender specific. Gillette is only tailored to males, and Venus, another P&G brand, is only tailored to females, but there are no really unisex razors out on the market. And as mentioned before, the market for shaving razors has been relatively static. It's actually declined a little bit recently. Some of the opportunities that we saw is there's an undersaturated millennial market. As we're going to talk about later on, Gillette historically has struggled to capture customers under 35. Also, there's been a growing concern with personal hygiene. And finally, we believe that we can expand our current product line. It's already very extensive, but we can extend it to meet more customers' needs. And lastly, some of the threats that we see is the e-commerce shaving industry is starting to take over more and more market share. And there's also a lot more cheaper alternatives on the market, such as disposable razors. And finally, as mentioned before, there's been a growing popularity in facial hair, especially in younger individuals. So we need to find a way to counteract all of these threats in order to increase sales. And next, Peyton is going to be talking about the executive summary for our solution.
So we believe that Gillette is the premium brand, and our plan does not make any new products or change that brand. Instead, it is threefold. The first part of the plan is to partner with as many dermatologists across the country as possible to have a partnership with disposable Gillette razor brands that the doctors will give out to first-time shavers to introduce the brand at a very young age and hook those consumers. This has been something that P&G has done with other products, such as toothpaste giving out to dentists. The second part of our solution is a TV ad campaign targeting specifically moms who typically buy the products for their sons, and this would be an ad campaign that introduces first-time shavers to Gillette as well. The third part of our solution is targeting those young first-time shavers themselves through a social media sponsored ad campaign using Instagram to target a specific consumer. And through these 3 steps, we hope to combat the problem of Gillette's decreasing revenue. So first we have to decide on our target consumer. As you can see through this graph, which shows the percent of household penetration by age group of Gillette, the biggest room for growth is consumers who are under the age of 35. We decided to specify our target consumer even further by targeting first-time shavers so that our new campaign and solution to this problem is super specific. To do so, we have the 3 solutions, but in this way, we are hooking them for life on the brand and can have a consumer for up to 50 or 60 years. When looking at, through Gillette's research, when looking at shave product, the first thing, the number one priority for a consumer is the brand. If we're able to introduce Gillette as the first brand a consumer can see, then we are able to hook them for life and have consumers that can be able to buy products again and again and again.
All right, now I'm going to talk a little bit about our first proposal. So adolescent males tend to experience the development of facial hair, but at various rates. A common process occurs something like this. Facial hair begins to appear between the ages of 11 and 15 years old, and it continues to develop up into age 18, where a typical male may have hair on the upper cheeks, a full mustache, and hair below the lower lip. This is the same time that boys often experience puberty. And with puberty comes acne, a time when these boys might be visiting dermatologists. By handing out Gillette razors at dermatologist offices, similar to the way that some dentists hand out Crest toothpaste, which is another P&G product, we're putting these razors in the hands of young consumers or first-time shavers. This is a way to introduce the product to young consumers and build brand loyalty by introducing them to the Gillette brand. One option for dermatologists would be to hand out a Gillette razor body, which would encourage their patients to go out and purchase razor heads, which we've learned is the product that brings in the most profit in the razor industry for Gillette. Another option would be to hand out free razor heads, which would then encourage the patients to go out and purchase the body itself, and would additionally encourage future purchases of Gillette razor heads because the consumers now made an investment on this razor body. Another benefit that this opportunity would provide for dermatologists is a great advertising technique because Gillette razors advertise themselves to help protect sensitive skin. Gillette conducted a survey of US dermatologists and found that 82% of dermatologists agree that skin irritation is commonly confused with having sensitive skin. However, it's often the razor that causes this skin irritation rather than just the user's skin type. So consumers continue to believe that the skin irritation is a product of their sensitive skin and lose hope. Therefore, they resort to shaving less frequently in order to solve their sensitive skin issues. However, among these US dermatologists surveyed, 91% agree with the fact that a user's choice of razor has an impact on the level of irritation experienced during shaving. Another benefit that this opportunity would provide to dermatologists is advertising. Oftentimes when you go to the dentist and receive a toothbrush at the end of your visit, the handle of the toothbrush is imprinted with the dentist's name and phone number. A similar tactic could be employed with dermatologists by printing the name and number of the dermatologist's office on the body of the razor itself. This would provide an incentive to get dermatologists on board with our new idea of handing out razors at dermatologist visits. Now I'm going to pass it off to Trey.
So this graph here explains some of the costs associated with our proposed TV campaign. I'll go into those details a little bit more specifically on the financial slides, but I'll break down what exactly our TV campaign is. So we believe that often first-time shavers are not necessarily the ones purchasing the razors. As you can imagine, at age 15, 16, you can't drive yet, you can't go to the store. So we believe often it's actually going to be their mothers that are purchasing these razors for them for the first time. So we wanted to come up with an ad campaign actually targeted towards the mothers. So an example of this would be a TV commercial where a mother buys her son an inferior razor that is not the quality of Gillette. And the son shaves for the first time and cuts himself and is very embarrassed from his lack of ability to shave properly, and he doesn't realize that it could have just been the razor, and he grows very intimidated by shaving and avoids it at all costs, and this causes him to grow some pretty unattractive facial hair at such a young age. And the mother becomes mortified, and she doesn't know what to do, and she realizes that it was actually the razor is the reason that he doesn't want to shave. So she goes back to the store, buys a Gillette razor, gives it to her son, and he has a nice clean shave and the problem's resolved. We think that commercials like this, along with additional commercials proposing a similar message, will kind of plant the idea in mothers' heads that if they truly want what's best for their sons, that they'll buy them a Gillette razor for their first razor. And we believe that once that happens, once the children grow a bond with their Gillette razor as they grow up, that they'll have that brand loyalty and will continue to purchase that product. The idea of like a parent-child relationship has been explored before in the shaving industry. Aqua Velva had an ad campaign in 2009 where a father was kind of shown doing fatherly son activities, throwing baseball in the yard, etc. And then eventually when his son finally is old enough to shave, he passes him his Aqua Velva aftershave. But we actually think that targeting the mothers would be more effective because we believe that they're the ones who would actually be more likely to purchase the shaving products for their sons. A study conducted by the Private Label Manufacturers Association said that despite increases of women professional advancements, they still account for about 2/3 of the retail shopping for their families. So we believe that this is really who we should target.
Thank you. So we discussed the first two steps of our threefold solution. The first was to give the first-time shavers a Gillette razor to introduce them to the brand. Then we've got the moms hooked through that TV ad campaign. And the final step is to hook those consumers that are younger, who could ask their moms to buy this for them, or the small majority that do buy Gillette razors for themselves. We will do this through a social media ad campaign. And as you can see by this graph, in the past 5 to 10 years, social media advertising revenue has drastically increased and is continuing to increase year by year. This is the most effective way of advertising nowadays, especially to younger generations who don't watch commercials, don't look at billboards, they are always glued to their phones. As you can see by this graph as well, the majority of the revenue from social media advertising comes from mobile social media advertising, which is why we aim to do, we will talk about later, the social media ad campaign through sponsored Instagram ads. A study has shown that consumers are leaning away from using laptops and more using their mobile phone as a primary device to go through social medias and internet sources. So by using Instagram sponsored ads, it's the best way to target our consumers. Jackson will talk about that.
All right, like Peyton said, we believe that Gillette can utilize Instagram ads to better target their consumer and increase their market share over competitors like Dollar Shave Club, Harry's, Bic, and Schick. And we believe we want to penetrate the under 35-year-old market, which currently Gillette only holds 11% of the entire market share. Now, 35% of adults ages 18 to 30 have an Instagram account. We want to create a brand, we want to create a story of a brand for life. And this is how we show this Instagram ad campaign. From shaving with your son, to shaving as a teen, to shaving as a young adult. We want to show that Gillette is a top innovative and technological product and does not compromise its ability for price. And we can directly target this to our consumer of young adults ages under 35 through Instagram's data analytics, and not just through the through the advertisements content.
And now I'll go into a little bit more detail about the financials. So we did some research and we found out that an ideal TV campaign, in order for it to last in the viewers' heads, should last for about 30 days. So we did that, and then we figured we would strategically place our ads across channels that mothers would be more likely to watch, so about 20 times per day. And we multiplied that by about $62,000 per commercial. And then when you account for the cost of producing an ad, which Gillette has traditionally been they've taken great pride in their advertising, so we accounted for a larger amount of money for the production of the commercial. Total, it would be just above $37 million for that. And in terms of our social media, we decided that we wanted our campaign to reach 1 billion views, and at the going rate of $6.70 per 1,000 Instagram advertising views, this would come out to a total of $6,700,000. And then lastly, the last component of our strategy, we decided that we would sell the razors to doctors at a discounted price, at about half the unit price. And so the final cost, which is really actually lost revenue, if we gave out 500,000 razors at half price, it would end up being a little over $1,800,000. And this is ends up being a total cost of just under $46 million. And this may seem like a large number, but as we said, P&G traditionally spends a lot of money on advertising, and this is about approximately 1/3 of the yearly advertising budget for Gillette, which we think this is a good number because it's large enough so that the campaign can be successful, and this would be the largest ad campaign within their given year, and it still leaves a large portion of their budget available for other projects. And then on the revenue side, we think that from this strategy, that we could increase that household penetration below the age of 35 that we talked about from 11% to 15%. And this would end up increasing our sales revenue by over $370 million. And when you take that and subtract the costs, we're still looking at increased revenue or increased profits of $324 million, which would obviously be incredibly successful. But not only would our campaign help their current status of the company, but it would also help secure the future of the company, because as we talked about, these younger consumers will hopefully grow into adulthood and continue using Gillette products. There was a study done by a shaving blog named Razorpedia that calculated that the average Gillette consumer spends about $8,000 over their lifetime on Gillette products. So obviously, if we could increase the amount of young Gillette consumers and then work to hold on to those consumers, as we talk about with a lifetime brand, for example, in our social media campaign, we really think that it would not only help the current status of the company, but also secure future success.
Now, for our competitive analysis, we are comparing Gillette to its main competitors, Schick and Bic, and also to Dollar Shave Club and Harry's, which those two focus on an online subscription model. And so in comparing these, we see that Dollar Shave Club in 2012 released a razor that's $9 for one razor a month and 3 cartridges. And Gillette released in 2010 the Fusion Pro Glide, which is over $10 for 1 cartridge and $4 per extra cartridge. So we see that Gillette does not want to compete with Dollar Shave Club and Harry's on price. In 2011, Schick held 12% of total market share, Bic held 5% of total market share, and Gillette held 66% of total market share. Since that date, Gillette has lost market share year over year to Dollar Shave Club and Harry's. In order to compete with this, we see that, like I said before, the opportunity is not in competing in price, but we do not want to compromise the brand and rather expand the brand to continue to be more innovative, to show that Gillette is the superior product, and to focus on penetrating the target consumer of under 35-year-old males. So thank you so much for your time. We hope that our suggestions will help Gillette increase revenues and increase their market share.